Hello there, this is Nightline and I am Pritha Manivannan. Your top stories. Lockdown approach no longer appropriate, says PM. And higher education institutions to reopen in stages from October 15th. Good morning. The government's decision to reopen more economic sectors was made as the lockdown move is no longer apt and may have more implications, including on mental health. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the reopening of the sectors could not only expedite the economic recovery process, but would also give the people the opportunity to improve their lives. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the reopening of 11 economic sectors in states under Phase 1 of the National Recovery Plan is appropriate due to high vaccination rates in the states. He said this in reply to Jempol MP Datuk Muhammad Salim Sharif during question time at the Dewan Rakyat sitting on Tuesday. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the sectors were also reopened with SOPs, including allowing only fully vaccinated customers in the business premises with only fully vaccinated workers on duty. Replying to Datuk Salim's supplementary question on whether the decision to reopen the sectors had taken into consideration the risks of COVID-19 infection for the unvaccinated population aged 17 and below, the Prime Minister said the onus is on everyone to maintain discipline and self-control to prevent themselves, their families and their communities from being infected with the virus.
Rakyat mesti berdisiplin untuk membuat kawalan kendiri dari segi menjaga SOP. Baru ni kita buka. Hari pertama, kita lihat di tempat percutian penuh. Tidak ada memakai mask pun, tidak memakai topeng pun. Maknanya, masa depan negara kita ini, dari segi COVID ini bergantung kepada kita sendiri. Kita tidak boleh mengharapkan vaksin semata-mata, tetapi kawalan kendiri itu sangat penting. Kalau tidak, ianya akan menjadi sia-sia saja.
Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri added the reopening of the 11 sectors was also done according to data related to the COVID-19 clusters in those sectors. In other news, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the government will continue with policies and strategies to increase income and purchasing power of the people, especially the poor households in the B40 group. He said the government would also strive to improve their access to basic necessities, including education, health and housing.
Kita ada short term dan long term plan tadi. Short term tadi memang kita kira hanya untuk sementara. Sebagai contoh, apabila kita memberikan bantuan kepada peniaga mikro, one-off cash, ia je bertahan untuk beberapa waktu saja. That's why plan kita adalah supaya untuk jangka pendek, sederhana dan jangka panjang, untuk kita memberikan latihan keusahawanan, untuk latihan reskilling dengan upskilling, supaya mereka diberi ruang selepas itu untuk menambahkan pendapatan ataupun mencari punca pendapatan yang baru. Begitu juga dengan kalau nak memulakan perniagaan, mereka mesti mempunyai sedikit modal. To start up business mesti diberikan kepada mereka.
He said this in reply to Port Dickson MP Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim during question time at the Dewan Rakyat sitting on Tuesday. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the government had previously provided short-term assistance under 8 economic stimulus packages, including the Bantuan Prihatin Nasional (BPN), Bantuan Prihatin Rakyat (BPR), and Phase 1 of the Special COVID-19 Assistance (BKC), totaling 24.9 billion ringgit, which had helped 10.9 million individuals and households. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri also told the Dewan Rakyat that the government is considering calls to compel lenders such as banks to waive interest fees to help ease the plight of the Rakyat who are burdened by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Cadangan daripada Yang Berhormat tersebut, kita akan bincang dengan Menteri Keuangan. Ya, kita faham situasi yang dihadapi oleh rakyat. InsyaAllah kita akan cuba membantu sebaik-baiknya.
Referring to a supplementary question raised by Pontian MP Datuk Sri Ahmad Maslan in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday, the Prime Minister said that the government is aware of the situation in the country. Datuk Sri Ahmad Maslan asked if the government is considering implementing a non-accrual moratorium as household debts have increased by 93.3% due to the pandemic. Bank Negara Malaysia in August warned against forcing financial institutions to waive interest payments on loans that will accrue during the ongoing 6-month moratorium, saying the move will cause after effects for the country's economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic in the long run. Governor Datuk Nur Shamsiah Mohamad Yunos explained that the profits earned from the accrued interest during the loan moratorium are meant to cover the funding costs of banks. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz has instructed banking institutions to work on exempting interest payments for bank loan moratorium recipients immediately. In a statement on Tuesday, he said this will involve recipients of the moratorium from the bottom 50% of all Malaysians for a period of 3 months, specifically for the fourth quarter of 2021. The Finance Minister said the Cabinet Minister had also approved a proposal to table amendments to the temporary measures for the government financing COVID-19. This entails raising the ceiling limit of the COVID-19 fund from 65 billion ringgit to 110 billion ringgit, as well as increasing the statutory limit of federal government debt from 60% to 65% of GDP. The amendments to the bill will be tabled for approval in the Dewan Rakyat this October. Higher education institutions will resume in stages beginning October 15th for university students and staff who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Higher Education Minister Datuk Sri Nur Aini Ahmad said the reopening of the campuses will apply to all tertiary education institutions in all states, regardless of which phase of the National Recovery Plan they are at, respectively. In a virtual press conference on Tuesday afternoon, Datuk Sri Nur Aini said the Higher Education Ministry will begin implementing the physical enrolment of students into campuses in stages, as approved by the National Security Council. She said this was an effort to ensure the sustainability and high quality of local education while ensuring the students' safety and well-being is a priority.
Sehingga kini, sebanyak 66% pelajar dan 90% kaki tangan IPT telah lengkap divaksin. Oleh itu, saya menyeru semua pelajar dan kaki tangan IPT yang masih belum divaksin untuk segera berbuat demikian. Bagi tujuan ini, warga IPT boleh mendapatkan vaksin secara walk-in di mana-mana pusat pemberian vaksin. Pelajar dan kaki tangan IPT hanya perlu membawa kad pelajar ataupun kad pekerja dan kad pengenalan ataupun pasport.
She also said university students only need to obtain permits from the police and permission or offer letters from their respective institutions to travel to their campus. Datuk Sri Nur Aini also announced a 20% discount on fees for all local students enrolling in all public universities for the 2021 and 2022 Semester 1 session. All 181 COVID-19 standard operating procedures (SOP) will be simplified to just 10 as the country heads into the endemic phase of the virus outbreak next month. Senior Defence Minister Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein said the changes will be aimed at striking a balance between reviving the economy and the people's well-being and health. Datuk Sri Hishamuddin said the National Security Council is expected to take about 2 to 3 weeks to come up with the simplified version.
4 agenda saja. Agenda pertama ialah untuk melihat keputusan-keputusan berhubung kelonggaran yang telah pun diumumkan sebelum ini dan bagaimana prosedur operasi standard SOP kita ni dapat diperkemaskan lagi agar lebih mudah difahami oleh orang ramai. Agenda kedua ialah meneliti kelonggaran-kelonggaran yang telah pun dipersetujui secara prinsipnya di peringkat mesyuarat jawatankuasa khas pengurusan pandemik dan memperincikan SOP sesuai sebelum diumumkan kepada orang ramai.
He added that the matter will be announced by the Prime Minister soon. The Health Ministry is targeting a hospital bed ratio of 2.08 beds to 1,000 residents by the end of the 12th Malaysia Plan or 12th MP. Health Minister Khairy Jamaluddin told the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday that to achieve the set target, the ministry will continue the initiative to raise the number of beds through the construction of new hospitals and upgrading existing hospitals and facilities. Khairy said the ratio achieved in 2020, which was the end of the 11th MP, was 2.01 beds, with the number of beds increasing from 55,952 in 2016 to 65,508 beds in 2020. He said focus will be given to areas where existing hospitals have high bed occupancy.
Faktor lain yang turut diambil kira ialah kepadatan penduduk, akses kepada perkhidmatan di hospital sedia ada dan peruntukan kewangan kerajaan. Selain meningkatkan bilangan katil di hospital dan fasiliti KKM, Kementerian juga menggunakan pendekatan untuk mengoptimumkan bilangan katil sedia ada menerusi perkhidmatan rawatan harian di hospital-hospital utama.
He said this in response to a question posed by Sungai Siput MP SK7 on the government's target to achieve a higher level in the provision of hospital beds for more comfortable health facilities for the people. There will be no new Dewan Rakyat Deputy Speaker to replace Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Said in the near future. The Dewan Rakyat has unanimously passed the motion to postpone the election of the Deputy Speaker, which was supposed to be held on Tuesday, to the next sitting beginning on October 25th. The motion, which was tabled by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, said the postponement was necessary to make an amendment to Article 57(1)(b) of the Constitution to add another Deputy Speaker post from 2 to 3, with one of them also filled by an opposition representative.
Maka dengan itu kita akan membuat satu peraturan mungkin supaya salah seorang daripada speaker yang 3 nanti setelah diluluskan akan disandangkan oleh pihak daripada pemegang, tidak kisah siapa jadi kerajaan.
The Deputy Speaker's seat was vacant after Datuk Sri Azalina Othman resigned on August 23rd. 2 months following the extension of the 2021 academic year, which will be extended to January, and February 2022 will be used by the Education Ministry to gauge how much the students has mastered and what help, intervention and supports are needed. Senior Education Minister Dr. Muhammad Datuk Dr. Muhammad Radzi Majidin said the focus would be on students who are still weak and provide them the intervention programs that would help them reach the minimum mastery level before proceeding to the next class.
Ada juga yang risau bila start bulan Mac 2022, dia akan pendek pula sesi persekolahan 2022. Tak apa, kita akan buat macam 2021, kita boleh masukkan juga untuk tahun 2023. Ya, maknanya dia akan jadi sesi 2022, 2023. Berapa lama kita akan buat kaedah ini, kita sedang perincikan. Ada beberapa perkara yang kita sedang lihat dan insya-Allah kita akan jelaskan dalam masa terdekat.
He said this after appearing as a guest on TV3's talk show program Soal Jawab on Tuesday evening. The senior minister had recently announced that the 2021 academic year will be extended to January and February 2022 to allow students to catch up and ensure they are ready to move on to the next level of their education. This meant that students would remain in the same classes they were in this year during the first 2 months of 2022. This would mean the 2022 academic year would begin in March and be known as the 2022 and 2023 academic year. Coming up, over 1.9 million ringgit worth of shabu seized off Muar Coast. Stay with us. Welcome back. A security warning issued by the government of Japan through its embassies in Southeast Asian countries was unfounded. Senior Defence Minister Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein said the threat was based on a media platform and did not have solid grounds.
I'm aware of it. Military intelligence have briefed me. Dia bersandarkan kepada satu platform media. Ianya IGP pun telah membuat kenyataan pagi tadi. Ianya tidak ada asas langsung hubung kait dengan isu pengganas-pengganas. Dan saya akan tengok Wisma Putra menanya apa sebabnya Jepun telah mengeluarkan kenyataan berkenaan.
He was responding to a question raised by the media at Parliament following the Japanese embassy's warning to its citizens on Monday on a possible terrorist attack. In the security advisory, the embassy pointed out that there could be possible attacks in places such as houses of worship and asked Japanese residents in Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Myanmar to stay away from crowded areas and to remain vigilant against terror attacks. A total of 21 COVID-19 infections involving the Delta and Beta variants of concern, VOC, were detected in Terengganu since July until September 14, 2021. Out of the infections, 12 cases involved the Delta variant, while 9 cases were from the Beta variant. According to Terengganu Health Director, Datuk Dr. Kasamani Embong, the increase in Delta variant is very worrying due to its high infection rate and kept changing in nature. He did not rule out the possibilities that the variants have spread widely in the community at all districts in the state, except for Kuala Nerus.
Bila kita melihat kehadiran varian Delta ini, sebenarnya dia keboleh jangkitan ataupun kejangkitannya adalah menjadi lebih cepat. Jadi kita mintalah semua masyarakat mengamalkan SOP.
5 cases of these VOC were recorded at Ulu Terengganu, followed by Besut with 4 cases, 3 cases at Marang, 2 cases at Dungun and 2 cases at Kemaman, while 1 case at Setiu. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA foiled an attempt to smuggle out drugs worth 1.95 million ringgit on Tuesday. A total of 39 kilograms of methamphetamine were seized in a raid conducted in Muar waters. According to Johor MMEA Director, First Admiral Nurul Hizam Zakaria, the seizure was made as a result of intelligence on drug smuggling activities carried out by the MMEA's Intelligence Division. He said that upon inspecting the boat, they found 2 black bags containing green Chinese tea packets. Each bag contained 19 packets believed to be shabu of various weights, which were brought in from a neighbouring state north of the peninsula and meant to be on its way to Indonesia. The fiberglass boat was confiscated and towed to the Batu Pahat Maritime Zone. The 38 packets of drugs were also seized for further investigation. The total value of the seized items were estimated to be worth around 1.97 million ringgit, and the case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. After the break, Philippines to test localized COVID-19 lockdowns in capital region. Stay with us. Welcome back. Britain announced Tuesday it is delaying the start of post-Brexit border checks on food imports from the European Union, saying trade disruption from the coronavirus pandemic has already piled pressure on businesses. Now, Brexit Minister David Frost said the UK wants businesses to focus on their recovery from the pandemic rather than have to deal with new requirements at the border. The delay means checks on EU agricultural and animal products that were due to start from October won't be introduced until next year. The UK said the pragmatic new timetable would ease pressure on businesses grappling with supply chain disruptions from the pandemic. It said customs declarations and controls will be introduced on January 1st, but safety and security declarations won't be required until July 1st. The Philippines' capital region will exit wide-scale COVID-19 restrictions from Thursday as the government launches a pilot test of localized lockdowns amid efforts to balance reopening the economy and containing the spread of the coronavirus. Now, according to officials, the localized lockdown would be accompanied by 5 alert levels designating the range of businesses allowed to operate, including activities targeted at fully vaccinated individuals. If successful, the same formula could be applied across the Philippines, which is battling one of Asia's worst coronavirus outbreaks. The shift in the government's COVID-19 strategy could soon pave the way for limited face-to-face school classes and the reopening of indoor entertainment facilities in areas with low virus transmission and adequate hospital capacity. Ousted Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi returned to court on Tuesday to face charges of incitement and flouting COVID-19 restrictions a day after failing to appear on health grounds. Monday's hearing was adjourned after Suu Kyi suffered from what her lawyer said was car sickness while being taken from the compound where she is under house arrest to the courtroom. According to lawyer Kin Maung Zhao, who met with her before Tuesday's hearing, Suu Kyi was still somewhat dizzy. Tuesday's hearing on charges, Suu Kyi flouted coronavirus restrictions during elections her party won last year, however was again postponed after prosecution witnesses failed to appear. Aung San Suu Kyi's lawyers have denied those charges. Daegu FC eliminated in round of 16 at AFC Champions League. Sports coming up next. Polish striker Jakub Schwierczok completed a hat-trick as Nagoya Grampus of Japan came from behind to beat South Korea's Daegu FC 4-2 to reach the quarter-finals of the 2021 AFC Champions League. Take a look. First-half goals from Brazilians Cicinha and Edgar Silva looked set to take Daegu into Friday's draw for the last 8, but the powerful Pole had other ideas as he almost single-handedly dragged the Japanese side past the K-League club. Having netted in the 12th minute to cancel out Cicinha's opener, Schwierczok struck twice in the 2 second-half minutes to give the Japanese side a lead after Edgar Silva's earlier header. The 28-year-old should have added a fourth in an astonishing 5-minute spell for the forward when he charged beyond the Daegu defense, only to fire across the visitors' goal. But Nagoya put the result beyond doubt 11 minutes from the time when Shinosuke Nakatani was left with time and space to nod Matthew's corner home. The Grampus reached the Champions League semi-finals in 2009, but exited to Saudi Arabia's Al Ittihad. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at the scenes from the Paradise brought to life inside Filippo Brunelleschi's Renaissance Pazzi Chapel. These famous images are from the work of French engraver Gustave Doré, who created them to illustrate Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. And now Italian artist Felice Limosani has used modern technology to animate them and bring a new experience to the Italian Sommo Poeta. With that, I'm Pritha Manivannan. Thank you for watching, and remember, Malaysia, stay safe.